Dance Studio owners, welcome to a very special week inside of the Transform My Dance Studio podcast. This week, I'm joined every day by fascinating, inspiring, motivating studio owners from around the globe who are just like you, who are creating the go-to studio. They've gone through challenges, they've had massive wins, and they're sharing them all on this week's show. Now, today, I'm really excited, again, because I'm talking to Sarah Whitelaw from SJ Dancers in New South Wales, Australia. Now, I really loved working with Sarah inside of our Studio Success Formula Mastery Program because she is like a fierce action taker. She was in there every week doing the work, getting results, and I want to talk to her about how she approaches taking action and achieving her goals, and also her journey in building her studio. So Sarah, welcome. So great to have you here. I'm so appreciative that you're taking the time out.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
So Sarah, tell us a little bit about your journey into becoming a studio owner. How did it happen?
Well, I think like a lot of people, started when I was really young doing some classes. And then I went into, I think I was about 10, and my dance teacher said, hey, do you want to assist? And I was like, oh, yes, because being called Miss Sarah was pretty exciting at 10. So, I started to assist, and that was it for me. That's what I wanted to do. So I kept assisting, and then as I got older, I, got experience through a ton of different studios. And I knew that that was it. So, teaching in other studios, I knew that I needed my own. I wanted to have my own studio, and it wasn't enough, and I needed it to be mine.
Can I ask you a question around that? Like, what was going through your head? Were you thinking like, I could do this better? This looks really easy. Like, because I think, a lot of a lot of teachers turn into studio owners, but I'd love to kind of, rewind the clock a bit and get into your mind. Like, what was going on inside of your head? Why was there that desire to open your own?
You know what it was? I think it was the control from start to finish of, mainly for me, routines. So I wanted to pick the dancers I wanted to work with, and then I wanted to, do the costuming, and then I wanted to put the lighting together, and I wanted to do every single aspect because I just loved it that much. And I thought, as much as those studios were amazing to me and I got tons of experience, it just wasn't my own. And I wanted, my name on the door, and to feel that I've built something. And, as great as it is at someone else's studio, I really wanted the control of it.
Yeah. So when you made that decision, what were your first steps to opening your own studio?
Well, I actually started in a fitted out studio. So my family knew that this is what I wanted from when I was little. So I was really fortunate that my nan actually, had the means to help me. So it was straight out the gate. I got tons and tons of advice from all the, studio owners that I was teaching for, the good and the bad. Some said, you're crazy, don't do it. Others
they're like, no.
Yeah. So, but I knew that was it. So I was really lucky. I had a really supportive family, and, my husband now, my boyfriend at the time, was his brother was a builder. So he was like, let's do it. We can do it for you. And I just jumped in, and as crazy as it is now, and I think, oh my gosh, what did I do? Luckily for me, it all worked out.
Yeah. I think there's something in the being naive around business. I always think, thank goodness when I started Dance Life, our website, my mom was like, do whatever you want. I went to the bank, got 4 bank loans for that first website that we built. I was like, yeah, woo, loans, whatever, being 21. And my mom was like, yeah, she didn't know either, so I think there's something around that. How important is support, or was support back then, and how important is it now that you're in it and growing it?
Yeah, I don't know how I would never have done it if I didn't have the support. But I think it's things like having that driving force behind you to say, when I'm doubting things, I don't think I can do it, and they're like, no, stop, you can do it. Let's do it together, or just that little person in your ear to reassure you that, don't have that doubt. This is, it's in my blood. You can do this. This is your passion for it. But I think it's so important. Even now, with having a family too, if I didn't have that support, I don't know. I don't think I'd be able to do it.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I want, I just want everyone that's listening though to realize that that support might not be your family. That support might be, the people that you've got inside of the association, or a close group of girlfriends, or a group that you put together of local business owners. So if you don't, I don't want you to think, oh, I don't have the family support, so I can't do it. Not at all, right? If you don't have the family support, find the support. There's a great group out there of people that are local, that are online, that can really cheer you on and help move you forward. Sarah, you're in a pretty competitive market now. And, one of the things that everyone always says to me is, but Clint, you don't understand. There's a studio on every corner in my area. And I'm like, yes, that's you and nearly every other dance studio in the world at the moment. Because the dance studio, one of the things I love about our industry is that it's never going away. People are always going to want to come into a studio and move in real life with someone in front of them teaching them, right? There's not going to be a robot it's going to be like teaching them at the front of the room. So there's going to be more studios that are opening up still all the time. How do you stand out from every other studio that's offering essentially the same thing?
Yeah. I think, one of the things I've learned with doing mastery and in the association is knowing your clients and knowing your ideal students. And I think for me, it's more, we're really personable. And I almost think like our parents, our mums mainly, it's like they're their own enrollment kind of level. Because, we have apparel for them and they're SJ mums, and they're not just, oh, I take my daughter here and off we go. So I think it's just knowing what I thrive in, what my teachers thrive in. And staying focused and not worrying, down the road, they have tinies on a Tuesday. Oh, they have so many, maybe I should have tinies on a Tuesday. Just really staying in my lane and staying focused, because, I think at the end of the day too, we're not just competing with other studios. There's swimming and soccer and karate
and gymnastics and singing and violin and
there's so many. I think it's easy to get stuck in, there's a dance school here and there. And I think there's, more activities that are more competition, But I know with me, it pushes me though. I know that, I've got to stay focused and stay on top of my game. And I want to be the very best, in the studio to be the very best that it can be as well.
Yeah. So is it a driver for you? Because I know when people see competition, so let's say a Facebook ad pops up from a potential competitor or someone in your area, or you see a competitor, another dance studio, at a local performance. Are you because you can either shut down completely, people either shut down and they're like, oh, or they're like, right, I'm, kind of like game on in a really cooperative space, right? Not in a mean, vindictive kind of like, game on, I'm going to crush you. But, okay, this is giving me the drive to make sure I am being my very best, and our studio is our very best, and our teachers are the very best. Is it like that for you? I'd love to hear kind of more around that, how that drives you.
Yeah, 100%. And you know what? It's motivating. So seeing that, another studio might have, say 10 4-year-olds at a community show, and these kids are having a ball, and maybe that's something I haven't done. And I think, that's motivating that these kids can get up there, and the teachers are working so closely with them to do that. So it's definitely motivating. And yeah, I think too, it's just, it like you're saying, it's in that way where it just I want to get up and go. I can see them pushing and thriving, and I think I want to stay at the top of my game, and in the community, and every dance studio in it can offer the very best for what that family's looking for as well.
Yeah, it's so good. I once listened to an interview, and the girl in the interview, they were talking about envy. When we look at other people and other businesses, and we're like, and our instinct is, well, who do they think they are? How dare they? Or, there's like that, I want that. And really, envy is just highlighting something you want for yourself. And so I love that there's kind of we've kind of tied a bow around that here, because you've just identified, you look at that and it's kind of like admiration. You're admiring kind of what they're doing, and you're like, that's something that I'd love to be able to do. Right. So it makes you lift your game. I love that. We haven't talked about this. So I think that's really important. you know, your parents, you were just telling me beforehand, you know, I said, I love your pink wall. And you said, my parents came in and painted this for me when I was pregnant. And I was like, wow, that is like super nice. You said you've got SJ mums, you know, inside of the studio. You're obviously really focused on building a community, not only with your students, but with your parents. How do you go about that? I'm sure it's very authentic, but I'd love to kind of hear some thoughts around how you bring together your parents to make a community. If there's ever any conflict, how do you kind of smooth that out? Can you talk a little bit about that dynamic in the studio?
Yeah. So one of the most important things for me was like what you said with building that community. So you know, when a parent signs up and we focus on the experience when they walk in, what happens and things like that, and they have a pack and, you know, it'll say things about our code of ethics and, you know, our core values of the studio, but it doesn't end there. So then, you know, after a week, we'll give them a call and chat to them and not just ask and talk about their child, but talk about them and, you know, what's happening with them and how they're feeling and anything we can help with. And then, like I said, we have the shirts and the jackets, and we want them to feel just as much a part of our studio as their child. So they're coming into our studio space, and it's not just their child having the experience, it's the parents. And things like we know their birthdays, and we know if, you know, they've accomplished something great at work, let's say. And we make a point that if it's their birthday, they come in and we might have, you know, a cup of coffee in their, I don't know, a scone or their favorite, you know, sweet ready for them, and it's happy birthday, Susie. So it's important for the parent to feel that just as much as the student does. But I think too with conflict, I think a simple phone call does it.
Are you quick? Are you like, if there's a problem, are you like on the phone, like nipping it in the butt quickly?
Definitely.
How important is that? Yeah. Because, you know, there's a lot of people that wait until it's like they're like, it's just consuming their mind and then they blow up. And I'm saying no one should be doing that, but I see this happen a lot, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I've been there, you know, at the start and learning how to deal the best way with the conflict. But I think a lot of the time it's that phone call and getting on the phone and just saying, hi, like, let's talk. You know, not necessarily what's happening, what happened here, but let's just have a conversation. How are you finding things? And most of the time it could be, you know, something that's affecting outside of life too, that's creeping into other aspects, including, you know, dance. So I think having that phone call, you know, in the business hours, not ringing at 9 o'clock at night or 10 o'clock at night. But
yeah, that's right. Not texting in bed at like 11 p.m. Like,
yeah, having that phone call.
Yeah, so good. I love that. I love that. Just communicate, open communication. So important because then everyone's on the same page as well.
Right.
When we don't communicate, everyone, you know, someone's on page 1, the other person's on page 89, you know, and it gets a little bit tricky. You're raising a family, you're growing a studio. How are you doing it?
Well, I think the husband's a big role. He helps a lot. But I think too, and you're going to love this, is the systems.
Yeah.
Systems and delegating. I am like a delegating queen now because some things I would think, I'll just do it myself and at least then it's done and I know it's done right. And that's just something that is in right now and not the future. So, you know, get the system in place and then in the week when this comes again, admin can do it and it's not always me. I think that's really important. Hiring the right staff. This year we've really done that.
Yeah.
And I've been able to, you know, knock that teaching down to a day and be at home with the family. I mean, it's never easy.
No.
It's never easy.
No, not easy, but you know, I love that you talk about systems, obviously, and that's why you said you're going to love this because you know how obsessed I am because what we teach, right? Because I know systems provide freedom and systems provide freedom in every part of your life. You know, it's just when you put the system in place at your dance studio, that 11-step enrollment process or the hiring funnel, whatever it might be, when you put those things in place, you get to enjoy more of your life, right? And that's super important. You said you touched on 2 things, delegation and team. I want to talk to you about team and finding the right people. You know, how are you finding them? And how are you kind of training and mentoring them so they're continually growing, staying engaged and motivated, and then being able to take on more of your things?
Yeah. Well, the biggest thing with staff that I've found is that clear communication. That's definitely been a big game changer for us this year.
Mm-hmm.
And, having strategies in place for them. So, we'll talk about the studio's values and where we want to go. But then it's important to me to hear where the teacher wants to go to. So they might, want to increase their retention in their classes, or go, if they want to get to capacity. And we really talk about how we're going to get there. And then at the end of it, the result. And we have a reward system for our staff just as much as we do for the children. So when we get to a certain point, then, there's a reward at the end of it to say thank you and to show the appreciation that we have.
Mm-hmm.
And a big one for us has been our team building. We go
Tell me about your team building. I reckon you guys would be doing some fun stuff.
We do some fun things. So the next one coming up is flying trapeze that we're going to try.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's going to be it's going to be a good one. I think some are a bit hesitant.
Yeah, I would, Sarah, if I was teaching for you, I'd be very hesitant. I'd be taking the photos for social media.
Oh, it's such a good time. But it's things like that. It's breaking down, if there's any communication, walls up, or even just getting really comfortable. And, having a teacher might call me and say, look, Sarah, I'm having a really tough time at the moment. This student here with discipline maybe, or whatever it may be, but having the respect and the communication to call me and say, hey, I need some help here. And then me responding straight away and coming into the class and going through, how can we fix this, or let's try this. That's been a massive, massive game changer for us.
Yeah, awesome. I know as you grow the studio, we come up against challenges. And I've really seen you, over the last, year since you've been, at the beginning of Mastery, earlier, you've really grown into this CEO role, and I've loved watching the evolution. What has been some of the things you've really had to work on to become like the CEO, the leader of the business?
Yeah, it's been letting go of control. That's been the biggest thing, and being okay to delegate and let other people do things that I don't need to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that one's been the biggest one.
Tell me about that, because, so often when we hear let go of control, studio owners kind of freak out a little bit, and they're like, and so when I say let go of control, they're like, there you go. And then they walk away. And I was like, no. It's not one extreme to the other. It's not like holding on to everything and then letting everything go. It's passing it over, right, with a system in place so that you don't have a heart attack because you don't know what they're doing. They're like following a system. So you're cool with that, right? Someone said to me yesterday, I was sharing a spreadsheet with a planning spreadsheet that we use with someone that we're working with. And she said, this detail is insane. And I said, she's like, I've never seen anything like it. I was like, because I am a control freak by nature, but I let go of a lot of things, but I have the systems in place so that I don't need to micromanage my staff. Right?
Yes.
Is that how because you can't be a control freak and then not be a control freak anymore. Right. Is that how you kind of manage it? And tell us about, are you checking in frequently with your team? Are you using Asana or anything? How are you kind of managing the whole kind of delegation and letting go?
Yeah. Well, I think, like you were saying with the systems, is if I'm on the computer doing something, I'm either screen flowing it, making sure that I'm recording it, or as I'm doing something, I might be taking a memo to type up later to pop in our systems folder. But the really great thing is that at any moment I can ring my admin and say, hey, I'm just wondering, what's our retention been for term 3 so far, for the first 2 weeks, let's just say. And in an instant, it should be able to give me that information. So it could be anything. And there's been some things we thought, we need to make that system a little bit tighter. But it's being able to ring and ask, or email and ask, hey, I'm wondering what happened here with a new student. And the big game changer for us is ConvertKit. I cannot rave about it anymore. I absolutely love it because everything's in one place and it's automated. And I can just check in at any moment, ask any question. and I'm going to get the answer and the detail, as you were saying. So I feel comfortable and I feel calm about it. I'm not thinking, oh, I really, really need to know, and she doesn't know and I'm going to have to wait till tomorrow, because then I'll just go into a panic.
Right.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm always checking in, and it's important. I mean, we've really grown this year. So, you know, even things like knowing birthdays, we have a system in place where, you know, we have dance biz too, and a message goes out, which is really lovely. But I want to make sure we don't lose that you know, really personal touch too. So yeah, systems have been the saving grace, really.
You're saying all the right things to me, Sarah.
It's a life changer. It really is.
This is like the best date I've been on in such a long time. Sarah, what's got you excited for the rest of the year around your business?
Oh, wow. I think one of the most exciting is that we've branded our Tinies program. And I've just, as you know, I've got a 7-month-old, and you might think I'm crazy, but we're doing an 18-month to 2.5 mummy and me class.
Oh, wow. I don't think you're crazy. We've got a lot of members, right, that are doing that are having great success. So good on you for doing it.
Yeah, we're going to head into it and you know, put all the plans in place. And I think it'll be really special for the mums and bubs.
Yeah, that's great. I'm excited for you. And the fact that you're branding it, you know, we have that module around branding classes is so crucial and important, so that you can stand out. Because everyone's doing a little kid, you know, a little baby's preschool class.
Yeah.
You know,
and two, it doesn't matter what teacher they have, they're getting the same lesson.
Yeah.
I think that's really, really important too.
So crucial, because, you know, it's one of the mistakes that people make. This is really in a lot of classes, but especially in that up to 6-year-old, is that the program, the curriculum is based on the teacher, not on an actual curriculum. So, you know, everyone's there for Miss Jenny. Miss Jenny leaves, and then it's like, oh no, what do we do now? So there's a great lesson there in everyone to, you know, build your own curriculum, use a license, one of the license programs, you know, get something that is consistent, so that people are there for the brand and the experience, not for the teacher. You know, huge lesson. Sarah, this has been like so much fun. I could definitely talk to you for a couple of hours. And I hope when I get back to Sydney, we get to meet and we get to do that. That would be fantastic. Tell us like, what is like the number one nugget? Give me like one thing that you want to leave our studio owners with when it comes to running a successful dance studio.
Okay, I'm going to take the mum approach with this, with a young family. I think, you know, one of them, and this might be a little off, but to me, it'd be eliminating the mum guilt. That would be my biggest thing. Being a mum and running a studio is, no matter where we are, we feel guilty that we're not at the other place. And I just think it's so important that we just get really real about it and know that it's okay. It's okay if we don't answer that email that comes through at 9 o'clock at night, because, you know, we get up first thing in the morning, we're going to do it. Let's enjoy bedtime, or let's have that non-negotiable time where we say from 7 to 9, that's it. I'm with my children, and nothing's going to happen in that 2 hours. Yeah. So with the mum approach to that, and that, you know, obviously that's where I'm at right now, in particular with the little one, I think that's really, really important, to just let go of that guilt.
I love that. And this comes up a lot, right? Like, we've seen it in our community. Had a great conversation with a really good friend of mine. She has teenage sons now, but she was a single, full-time working mom, had her own business, flying around the world. She said, you know, because I was asking her about it, because we get a lot of questions around it. And she was saying, you know what, Clint, I learned to be present. And present meant when I was at my job, when I was speaking on stage, I was speaking on stage and I was with them, and I wasn't thinking about my kids. I wasn't feeling bad that I wasn't with my kids. I was feeling, you know, mummy's creating a great business. Like, that's the role model piece. Yeah. And then when I was at home with my boys on the couch, you know, watching a video, because back in those days you were watching a video, you know, I was with them. You know, I wasn't distracted by anything else. And I really think, like, I think back back in the day, I hate saying that, but back in the day, when there wasn't cell phones, mobile phones, laptops, we had those big Commodore 64 computers, couldn't really do much with them. I feel like it was a lot easier to be present.
Yes.
But now we have distractions in our pockets. There's distractions everywhere because there's screens everywhere. I think we kind of mesh the thing, so we're actually not 100% in anything. Because when we're at the studio, we're thinking about our kids because our kids texting us, and then we're thinking, well, did Dad pick them up? And then we're distracted at the studio. Then we go home, we're on the couch or we're eating dinner, and like our phone goes off, and it's our office manager. And so I'm so happy you brought that up because no one's mentioned that yet in this interview series. And I think it's so important. And don't forget like that your children are going to be growing up with a mum who's running a business, who's, creating their own destiny. And I think that beyond anything is so, so special.
Yeah. Right. And taking that moment to realize that.
Oh,
it's okay to say we're doing a great job and had a bit of slack, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Sarah, thank you so much for today, for spending some time with me and sharing your journey and wisdom with our studio owners. Where can our listeners go to get more information about you?
Well, the website's probably the best.
Yeah.
It's the www.sjdancers.com.au.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a blog going up soon, actually.
Woo!
Just real mum kind of things. And going into depth about not having that guilt. And I think there's a real need for other mums to feel supported and know that they're not alone in it.
Totally. And your audience is going to resonate with that as well. Like your mums who are working corporate and trying to raise a family. And, I think it's perfect. I love the message. I love what you're doing. And I'm proud of what you've achieved. And I get so excited every time you post something or I get to see like the next step for you. It's always really exciting. So congratulations.
Thanks, Clint.
Thanks so much.